One day, Lily Beth was walking home from the library when suddenly she saw a monster. And a funny thing, it looked just like the monster she had just been reading about in the library. And she remembered that they had used fire to defeat the monster in the book. So suddenly, Lily Beth was holding a large torch in one hand and a sword in the other, and she was running towards the monster. Grrr, she growled. And the monster, who feared fire, started to back up, and as he did so he tumbled off of the ledge, and plummeted a great distance to the bottom of the ravine, where the tree lawn had been a moment before, all the way down the ravine to his death. Thank God she had read that book, she thought to herself, so she knew what was going on and how to defeat that thing, and save her town and her family before it did real damage. And as always, she hadn't done it for the applause from the crowd or gratitude of the people. She had done it simply because it was the right thing to do. So she tossed the sword and the torch into the ravine that the monster had fallen into. Then she continued on her way. Okay, Lily Beth and the Snow Leopards. One day, while at the library reading about snow leopards, Lily Beth was admiring one of the pictures in the book, when suddenly she was a snow leopard, trudging through the snow on a snowy mountain top, with the other members of her pack of snow leopards following close behind. Because they all looked towards her because she was the leader of the pack, and she was so happy she looked at them with love. Somehow she had transformed into a snow leopard, and she and her pack were searching for food. But instead of food, they stumbled upon a camp of humans. They feared the fire that burnt at the center of the human camp, so her and her pack steered clear of it. But Lily Beth could see that the humans were in trouble. They looked like they were starving. So she separated from the pack and hunted on her own for a while, where she caught a deer and then dragged it to the top of the hill looking down upon the whole humans, and then started growling loudly and calling attention to herself. And the humans, who were all starving and weak, but hearing the snow leopard and sensing danger, they steadied themselves and came running up the hill towards Lily Beth. And just before they reached her, she cut and ran from them, leaving the deer behind, and then stopped at a safe distance and looked back. The humans, when they reached the spot where Lily Beth had been standing a moment before, couldn't believe their eyes as they looked at the present Lily Beth had left for them. They all looked so happy as they carried the white-tailed deer buck back to the camp, and they gave thanks to the gods for saving them. Then Lily Beth rejoined her pack, who was still hunting for food for themselves. She felt good that she had saved the group of humans, and knew that her pack would never starve, with mountains filled with many animals and birds that they could catch even in the dead of winter. So as she moved with her pack through the snow, she closed her eyes for a moment, to give thanks also. And when she opened them back up, she was back in the library staring at a book about snow leopards. And as she thought, snow leopards are so beautiful and majestic. Too bad they don't live around here. We could have so much fun. Suddenly she heard something that sounded like a growl. Growl. So she closed the book and looked around before deciding it must have been nothing, and started to get ready to leave. The library is such a great place to go on adventures, she thought. Dal and Marty and their family's adventure. Prisoners of the Robot Queen. My parents, Dal and Marty Toho, and their children, Amma, Keely, Missa, Maka, and the baby Lulu Kai, on a Native American reservation that serves as headquarters for the United Indigenous Nations of Earth Space Command, had ordered the Toho family to scout a strange occurrence on Venus. So they got into what appeared to be their family station wagon, but it was actually a spaceship. And once they were all strapped in, they took off in their spaceship. And once they were hidden by the clouds, they lowered the photonic shield, revealing that their family station wagon was really their spaceship, as they zoomed away on their mission to Venus. On Venus, they found a city that had never been there before. When Kelly and Maka got out of the ship to investigate, they were hit by softonic sound wave weapons and were captured by robots, who looked around trying to see where the two prisoners they had just captured had come from, but could not see the spaceship because it was camouflaged. But everyone inside of the spaceship could see them, and knew that the two of the Toho family had been captured. As prisoners of the Robot Queen, Kelly and Maka looked for a way to escape, and as they did, suddenly Amma was thrown into the cell with them. "I've come to rescue you," she said. "How are you going to do that?" they asked. "I haven't figured that part out yet." They were brought before the Queen and asked, "How did you find us?" "Your shields are failing," said Amma. "So we saw your city from Earth." "Our city?" asked the Queen. "Oh, you must mean the wonderful World of Wonders amusement park." "What?" asked Kelly. "You're an amusement park?" "Yes," said the Queen, "although no one from Earth has come to visit us in a very long time. People used to come and visit all the time." People really came in to visit?" asked Maka. "Yes. It is they who built us." "When?" asked Amma. "Well, the Titans of Earth, not long ago after they settled Earth's twin planet Venus, built us as part of their plans to help to draw settlers from Earth to Venus. We are here at the World of Wonders amusement park would be the big draw. People would come for a day of fun and adventure," said the Queen. "We thrived for ages when the Earth and Venus were twins, identical in almost every way. And that has not been so in a very long time. When a bombardment of Venus began, all the machines and buildings on Venus were protected by photonic force fields, but the atmosphere and the people were not so lucky. And after the bombardment stopped, the people never came back. We kept the force field up around the World of Wonders amusement park and waited for our guests to return, but they never did until now. In order to keep it ready for welcome the returning guests, we've kept everything in working order. Now that the photonic shields are failing, our future looks bleak as the solar winds and the thermal storms invade the park. Every time that the shields flicker, doing more and more damage. My mother can fix your force field generator," said Amma. "She works on ours all the time." "She'd do that for us?" asked the Queen. "Yes." "Thank you," said the Queen. Amma went back to the spaceship and explained everything to her mother. So Tal fixed the photonic force field generator, while Marty took a look at all the other some of the hardware. Then the family spent the day at the World of Wonders amusement park, having a fun day, riding the rides and trying their hand at the games of skill for prizes. It was all such a wonderful experience that they knew everyone back home on Earth would love to experience. This is a gold mine, everyone thought. So they thanked their hosts and told them that they would be sending up a brand new generator for their force field, and someone who would be put in charge of getting them all the spare parts they needed. The Queen thanked them in the name of her people, and the Toho family returned home after a long day of adventure to their everyday lives until given their next mission.